What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another episode of your favorite aunties podcast. We two. Nia. Let's get into the church announcements.
Church announcements, y'all. The show is quite literally around the corner.
Yes.
I mean, we are really on a countdown now. We are putting together the final touches. We are prepared to have an amazing time. We have been waiting for this for so long. It seems like forever, but also it came fast. It's really weird.
Yeah.
So we want y'all to be there. There are very few tickets left. And I want you to hear TT because I'm not exaggerating. I'm not being dramatic. I'm not trying to just get you to come. There are very few tickets left. And we want you to be in the house. We want to meet you. We've prepared and curated an amazing experience for you all. And we don't want you to miss it. So this is the first stop on our family reunion tour in our home city of Houston, Texas at White Oak Music Hall. It's on May 3rd. Meet and greet gets to come at 6. Doors open at 7. Show starts at 8. Period. So if you would like to be in the house, which you definitely would, definitely get your tickets. The link is in our bio. Get your meet and greet. It is an add-on, not a ticket type. So when you go check out, click that add-on. Get to come in at 6, kick it with us, laugh, talk, get your seat all ready before the crowd starts to pour in, and just have a good time. Have a really good time. And we got something a little special for our meet and greet attendees. Anything you want to add?
No, that's it.
So we're excited, y'all. Again, link in bio. Show us around the corner. You want to be there. You don't want to miss it.
At all. And again, like, y'all, it's my birthday weekend. Like, don't do me like that. Like, we need to show up and show out. Like,
yeah.
Because I'm going to have some fun. And, well, never mind. Listen, y'all need to come.
Yeah. And join our Patreon. Because we are going on some other tour stops. They are currently in the works. We are figuring out the logistics so that we can get to some different cities. And Patreon's going to know first what those cities are, and they're going to get the first link to the ticket. So make sure you join our Patreon because in addition to that, we got bonus episodes, exclusive content, behind the scenes. You get to give your input. We ask y'all questions. It's us reading the answers. Y'all get first dibs on Ask the Aunties. Join Patreon. Patreon campus is growing, and we bless God for it. So patreon.com/your favorite aunties.
What are we getting into today?
Well, we had like a little semi conversation a couple of episodes ago about our kind of like personality types and the way that we think through things. And we were talking about how we tend to be like kind of like black and white, like it's one or the other, hot or cold. And a lot of that stems not just from the right now, but for how we have been programmed from family to society to just in general religious beliefs and faith community. We've been programmed to live a certain way, to think certain things, to be a certain way. And that impacts our life even now. And we're trying to unravel some of those things, solidify other things, figure out what's true, what's not, what resonates now, what doesn't, what works and what doesn't. And so we're going to get into that kind of like that black and white mentality and what I like to call good girl syndrome.
I can recall when I was in college, because I lived a very, very sheltered life. I was in college and I went to Walmart by myself at like 12 at night. And I thought that I was like, oh my gosh, I'm living on the edge. Like, I mean, I was so thrilled and like, it was a rush of adrenaline to be doing something at like 12 o'clock at night. Like, my parents don't know. Like, and that I think truly speaks to like my life. Like, I was such a good girl. Like, I just didn't do anything. I didn't explore. And I'm thankful for that because it's kind of helped me be the person that I am today. But that has also shaped how I live my life. I've followed the rules. I'm a rule follower, not necessarily like a super big risk taker. And because of that, some of how I'm navigating life right now has proven to be a bit difficult because I really am thinking in terms of no gray. And because of that, it's kind of like, well, sometimes stuff just really is gray.
I know they was arguing with us about it in the comments, but sometimes there really is. And I think I was definitely growing up what we used to call like a goody two shoes.
Yeah.
And I was taught, not just like in my home, but kind of in home, but in church and just in society in general, they made a lot of comments about being a good girl.
Yeah.
And a lot of the things that I'm impacted by now are because growing up, I related these things to being a good girl.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, even when we have conversations about abstinence, it was still kind of, for me, I lived a sheltered life as well. So it was kind of like, oh, good girls don't do that.
Right.
So then when you get older and you learn like sexuality is okay, it's a part of who you are. Like, it was like a whole mindset shift, because for so long it was just, like, good girls don't do that. This is for marriage only. And because it's like, well, I want to be good, especially,
Yeah.
coming
Yeah.
up, you lean towards that. And it was my therapist that brought it out, like, you have been programmed
Yeah.
to think the way that you think and to behave the way that you behave because you want to be good. You want to make everyone happy. And it seems like people would make it seem like ruffling feathers, having an opinion, knowing what you want, being adamant about it,
Yeah.
being more boisterous. All of those things were not attached to being a good girl. It's like,
Yeah.
no, you have to be kept. You have to be quiet. You need to be seen and not heard. You need to be metered. You need to have it together.
Meek
You
and
need to
mild.
acquiesce to what other people, like that's a good girl.
Yeah.
And it's not.
Yeah.
It's not. It served the people who put that into place.
Right.
Come on, patriarchy.
Hello.
Because it serves me better for you to be quiet and sit over there and not
Right.
know what you want and how you want. And hey,
Because
just
the
sit over
minute you
there.
get to speaking up, now I have to do more.
Yeah. So, just realizing though that that's a part of the upbringing, that's a part of the programming, and like undoing that has been really hard, because I still, even when I do speak up for myself or I do come to know something, I get a little bit of a twinge, like, oh, maybe I shouldn't do that, because it's just ingrained in me now.
But I shared, I think on a previous episode, I don't know how far back, but I can just remember when me not speaking up didn't serve me.
It did not. Yeah.
So now, like, I do unapologetically take up space. No, this is what I want, and I'm adamant about that. I think, matter of fact, you and I were talking about something. Maybe it was earlier today. We were saying something, and I was like, "No, but friend, I want that." Because it's like, if this is something, I'm always like, "Oh, that's fine, that's cool. We can do this, we can do that." But if it's something that I want, I'll know I'm going to speak my piece, because I want the things that I want, and I will get them. And if I can't get them, nobody else can.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't know. It's just something that I really struggle with. I'm a very accommodating person, a very easygoing person. And so I have, in a lot of ways, always gotten the short end of the stick in life, because I'm always like, oh, no, you can have it. Oh, no, you can do what you want. Oh, no. Even if it was something that I wanted, or even if it did make a difference for me, I would just take the brunt of it. And I, even to this day, in relationships, in friendships, in connections with people, I take the brunt of things. Because I'm like, well, I mean, I'll just do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, in some instances, it doesn't bother me, but more and more now, it does bother me, because I'm older now and I know what I want. And like I've kind of talked about before, I'm just in this place where I feel like I'm at capacity.
Yeah.
And so taking on something else to please someone, even though I really do want to please you and I want you to be happy, I'm like literally in a place where I'm like, I quite
just can't.
Like, I just quite literally can't. And even that is really difficult, because it's part of the programming. Like, you need to do what people ask you to do. You need, you know what I mean? It's tough.
Because it was safer to do what you said, because that means you're going to stay. Well, I don't necessarily know what like your attachment style is, but I know that when I find myself just trying to be too agreeable, it's because like it's just a fear of like somebody leaving my life, or like what consequence am I going to have to face because I didn't say yes to this. I know that I brought something to you not too long ago, like an event that we could have possibly done, and I was having a hard time telling them no, or like, but contractually, like we literally couldn't, do it. But I was just like, oh my gosh, like, are they never going to invite us to do anything else? And it's like, no, that's not. You have to tell me, friend, it's okay. We just can't do it. So I do understand what you mean.
I feel like that still, though. It's like, I don't know what it is. It's like that anxiety of, if I don't do this, it's going to change how they feel about me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, and so what I'll do is I'll fill in the gap, because I'm trying to control the narrative.
Yeah.
Like, I want to control the narrative that you have about me in your head.
Right.
even though I don't even know what that narrative is. Who's the narrator? let's start there. Who the characters? What's the storyline? I don't know, but I'm gonna control it from my end.
Right.
So I'm gonna just do whatever needs to be done so that the narrative that I think that you have is controlled.
That you think that I have about you, thinking what I have about you, that you thought what I had about me thinking of you.
There you go. That's right. And that, again, I know I say my therapist, but that's one of the things. She's like, you trying to control the narrative. And I'm like,
yes, actually.
Because I've said before, like, I do care what people think about me. Yeah. It doesn't govern my life, but it's a care of mine. I'm not one of those people, you hear people, I don't care what nobody think. I'm like, nah.
What is that like?
Nah, that ain't me.
Yeah.
I do care. It's not like the end all be all, but I do care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still do care what people have to think. But at the same time, I'm just tired.
Yeah. It wears you out, honey.
Like, I'm tired. I even remember whenever I was like, used to go on vacation before I got to this place in my salvation, I wouldn't want to show like what I was wearing and things like that because I didn't want anybody to say anything. Whole time, remember when we went to Mexico? This dude reached out to me telling me that this is not how a woman of God dresses.
I remember that. Mm-hmm.
Where's your wife?
Boy, bye.
Hello? Like, get out my face. Like,
please.
I'm at a point now where I just can't do it anymore. Like, I can't.
Yeah.
I didn't want people knowing that I used to listen to that I would listen to secular music or that I was going this place or going that place when it's like, I got to live for me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's between me and the Holy Ghost. Mm-hmm. And what y'all fail to realize is if he tells me don't go, I ain't going.
Mm-hmm.
You just see me thinking like, oh, you outside, you doing this, you doing that. If the Holy Ghost would stop me and say, hey, I don't want you doing that because he can and will and has, then I'm not going to go.
Yeah.
I got a liberty in my life now.
Come on, liberty, whom the sun sets free.
It's free.
Huh?
Indeed.
All right now.
Nah, it took me a little minute to get to that place.
Yeah. No.
It's real.
I'm still in that place. I'm at a place where I'm trying to decipher how Nia feels and how Nia feels about how other people feel.
Yeah.
Like, because for a long time, the lines were very, very blurred.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm really seeing that in some places and in some ways, my thought patterns or my decisions were influenced by how I thought other people would feel about them.
Yeah.
And even though it seemed on the outside like I was making the decision for me, I wasn't making the decision for me.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to control the narrative.
Yeah.
And so I'm in a place now where I'm trying to figure out, okay, Nia, is this how you personally feel? Is this your personally held belief or is this what somebody told you about it?
Right.
Did this come from some other source? Are you concerned about how other people are going to feel about it? Because that has been a crushing pressure for me. Mm-hmm. I have decisions that I'm holding right now. And a large majority of why I'm holding that decision is because of how I think other people are going to take the decision.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm really working on it, but it is very hard because you've already built this story.
Right.
You got your characters, you got your princess, you got your prince, you got your castle, you got you got all the things. And it's like, man, if that castle comes crashing down.
Ooh, baby.
What is the story now? What are people going to think? How is this going to impact other people's life? And then as a believer who has been very forward with their beliefs, is like, you're always taught that, like, you're responsible for your brothers and their beliefs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm like, man, if I make this decision, how's that going to affect such and such faith? Because they saw me doing it.
They were like, oh, there's hope because if this person can hold out,
girl,
that person can hold. No, like.
It's a lot. It's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
That's why I told you on a couple episodes ago, I don't feel like I can mess up.
Because
there's so many different people that are like, how would that impact their faith?
Yeah.
If they're looking at me as the example or they know X, Y, and Z about me and I'm a lot of times people's example. Like, okay, everybody may not, but Nia is.
Yeah.
And that is why. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Oh, Pookie.
Mm-hmm. It's a lot.
I do hear you though, because that is a real thing in the back of your mind, knowing that you want to make a certain decision or you want to do certain things, but then all you can hear is, I knew it was only a matter of time, because I know I done been there. Like, no, yeah, I knew. So that's how I know somebody gonna say that. But at the end of the day, me knowing, what did that do?
Right.
still didn't make or break them.
Right.
But it's not to say that it's not hard and that you
It's
don't
very
think
hard.
about what somebody else is going to say, but it's like, where do you draw the line? Because I know for so long, you and I as leaders, even in the church, it's like there's just a certain way that you govern yourself. And when you no longer govern yourself that way, or when you're seen that way for so long, people forget that you are a genuine person. Like you're human.
That's right.
And you're having a human experience. And I understand that there is a responsibility that I have, and also I am a human.
Mm-hmm.
And you holding me to these standards, good looking out, appreciate it. But at the same time, no. Because I'm sure it was like a few of the people in my life were very shell shocked when I started making certain decisions in my life. Because it's like, wait, this is not the sham we know.
Right.
This not the pastor. This not the evangelist. This not the prayer warrior. No, it's not. This is sham, the being.
Mm-hmm.
And she just wants to come out for a second. And by a second, I mean a couple years.
Nah,
because I'm just not the same.
Yeah.
I'm not. And I don't ever think that I'll go back to who I was. And not in a bad way. I'll never be her again.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be a different version.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be a different version of her. But just not, I can't be who I was. That wasn't sustainable for me.
And that's the thing, finding something that's sustainable. Because I feel like what we live by or are taught, like, it's not sustainable.
Yeah.
If you really doing it. Like, because I was a good girl,
Yeah.
right? When people are saying, okay, we're not doing this, don't do this, don't do that, that's a sin, this is that,
Yeah.
I'm really not doing it.
Right.
Then I grow up and learn that while I was not doing all the things you said not to do, they were.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Doing it well.
Hello. And because you're saying it and not doing it, you don't even understand how unsustainable it is. So if I come to you and tell you that I'm struggling, or if I don't meet the standard, you have no idea why you're not understanding. This is not because you don't know.
Oh, just stay the course.
Because you weren't doing it.
You didn't even try to do it. It wasn't even a thing for you.
Come on. I'm really listening and that's like, it hurts me sometimes to think about my younger self because I was so naive, but also just so like zealous, just like on fire for God. I really was listening to this stuff and it's like, okay, don't do this. Okay, cool. All right, don't do this. All right. Don't do this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And my life was impacted by that.
Yeah.
My mindsets were impacted by that. And you weren't even doing it. Or you weren't honest about the fact that you did it and your outcome wasn't what it needed to be.
Right.
Girl, please.
You upset?
Yeah. No, it really does upset me because my life was really impacted by a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And looking back, I think that's like my biggest thing when I look back. It's not a lot of stuff that I quote unquote regret, but I do have that kind of like regret is I feel like time was spent on things that didn't need to be spent on. Decisions were made that didn't need to be made because I was just like naive. And instead of having somebody just really take hold to that purity and be like, okay, let me really teach her. It was like, let me take advantage of the fact that she is hanging on to my every word. You know what I mean? And that's why I'm very careful on this platform with giving advice. Like, baby, find you a therapist, do this, because I know what it's like to be hanging on to somebody's every word, to really feel like they have the keys, they have the wisdom, they have this. All right, let me listen. What do they got to say about it? I would love your advice. And that ain't it.
Yeah.
Because all I can tell you is for me.
Yeah.
I don't know, baby. You got to run your race.
And then when you tell people what you've done for you, they're like, well, that's still not right because somebody has something to say. Somebody gonna always have something to say about anything that you do. So it's like you might as well do what you do.
Yeah, because that's the thing about that good girl thing. Really, nothing's ever good enough.
Yeah.
Nothing's ever, come on, 99 and a half.
It won't do.
Nothing's ever good enough. So you're on this hamster wheel of and it's exhausting.
Yeah.
And that's why people be heading out like,
no,
they
for
used
real.
to be this super strong believer and now they just don't do nothing. Or that's why because you're exhausted.
Yeah.
And you didn't get the results that you thought or everybody told you that you were going to have.
No, because they will quite literally give you manuals, books, seminars, conferences, this is what you need to do here, here, and here. You want to succeed in your business? Here's 5 steps that you do. And then when your business fails, it's like, but I quite literally followed these 5 steps that you said were foolproof, were spiritually grounded, were this, were that. And they failed to realize that was the formula for them.
That was for them. Mm-hmm.
Because your 5-step plan was actually 6 steps for me.
Mm-hmm.
Or your 5-step plan was actually 3.
Mm-hmm.
You needed those 5. I just needed 3.
Come on.
And our walks are just not the same. And it was so hard to come to terms with that. Like when you be telling people run a race set before you, yes, that's biblical, but it's like, no.
For real. That's
run the
advice.
race set before you.
You.
Nia, I could not run your race.
Mm-hmm.
You could not run my race.
Mm-hmm.
They just 2 different races.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as both of us get to salvation's point by his grace,
mm-hmm.
then that's just what it's going to be.
Yeah.
Because I know that how I was living my life was sustainable at that point in time, but I just got burnt out because, again, the different things that I was taught, the different formulas that I was given, I was like, this is not working.
Mm-hmm.
And even when, and I want those who have ears to hear me for what I'm saying, even there were some principles that are in the word that I was like really just going and following. And I was just like, Lord, I don't see the fruit.
Mm-hmm.
And then please don't talk to me about heart's posture. Please don't. Because I can't, like, my heart's posture was there. And it still yielded nothing. So, and then the word says, oh, he'll withhold nothing good, so it must not be good. Please, I don't, Alberta, I can't. It's just, you know what I mean? Like, sometimes I just don't feel like hearing because it worked for you. It did. But you and I are 2 totally different people. There were different factors in why this worked for you and why it didn't work for me.
Absolutely. You got to take that into account. I used to, because I'm more the person like, you tell me the stove hot, I'm not going to touch it. I was never that kid that was like, oh, it's hot. Let me see. Like, it's hot. Cool. Bet.
And see, that was me. I have to see for myself.
Yeah, no, I believe fat meat greasy. I absolutely do. So there was a lot of life where I was just listening to people and navigating based on what they were saying. And it took me really going through life and realizing, okay, but that was them. Like simple things. Like I remember in college, people talking about this one professor. Oh, they just so hard and they just this and just this. And so I'm scared to death to take this class.
Yeah.
Anxiety through the roof because of what everybody said. Got to the class, breezed through it. Nothing wrong with it. I'm cool. Professor, all right with me.
Yeah.
But I had all of that fear and anxiety based on what other people said. And that may have been true for them.
Right.
But it wasn't true for me.
Yeah.
And I couldn't build my story around what was conceptual for them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so like simple things like that along the way have taught me like I can't listen to what other people say. Maybe they did have a hard time starting that business. Maybe they did have a hard time doing this. That doesn't mean it has to be hard for me.
Right.
You got to, I say, find your place of grace.
Or if it was easy for them, may not be easy for me. I remember a couple episodes ago, you and I were talking about like, what if that C in that class was the best you could do? Because it was a hard class. Some people might have got an A in it. Mm-hmm. Like you said, you just got done with a professor that you breezed through it. Y'all was straight. Somebody else would have been like, oh my God, the best I could have done was that C minus.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Y'all both took the same class and both got the same degree.
That's right.
Huh?
Mm-hmm. We got to journey down our own road. Though.
Right. You got the same result because here's the thing. D's graduate, C's graduate, A's and B's graduate. Everybody graduated.
Mm-hmm.
Some just excelled a little bit more than others, but everybody had the same result.
But you know, that gets me on the flip side though. Mm. Because as the good girl who got the A, it's like, well, wait a minute now.
Okay.
Why, you know what I'm saying? Like,
but we got to think about that, we got to think about the biblical story where it's like that man agreed, I'm going to start working at this point in time for X amount of money. People came in hours later, still got the same amount of money as what he got. And he was upset. But it's like, you agreed to this. You don't remember?
No.
I'm going to find it. Keep talking.
Okay.
We'll find it. So
No, but no, that gets me in life. We've talked about it before. It's like, okay, but if you do more, if I stayed up all night studying, and now it's one thing to say, okay, this was really hard, so I got a C. But it's one thing to say, okay, I just kind of did what I needed to do. I did the bare minimum and I got my C. And it's another thing to say, man, I stayed up all night. I was studying. I made sacrifices. I did this. I did that. And we come out with the same outcome. That's
I got
the
a
thing
problem
that
with
gets
that.
me.
It's Matthew 21-16, and it was about the landowner who he had agreed to let somebody work like super early in the morning, and then they agreed to work for X amount. And some people came in at noon, at 3 p.m., at 5 p.m., and all of them got the same wage. Even though some of them started working early in the morning, some of them started working late at night. Late in the evening, but they all got the same wage. And but I understand your frustration in that, because it's like, no, I've been working. Why am I getting the same result as them? But they doing less work.
And and that's where that like good girl thing ties in, especially as somebody who y'all always hear me say about, being saved from the time I was really young. It's like,
yeah.
I think most people's like go-to is like, oh, well, you missed out on things that, you needed to miss out on,
Did I?
And it's like, okay, maybe, but also maybe not, because if we all gonna get the same, the same ending, then is it really like that? I don't know.
I'm looking at the story.
What?
I'm reading the story. Just because I was like, I know I'm telling the story right.
Oh.
But it just made God, not God. I just really, I remembered that story in the word. But no, there's nothing wrong with feeling how you feel. Your thoughts and feelings are very valid.
Yeah.
It's just hard navigating at life as a good girl.
It is.
Because it seems like the bad girls be winning. And it's like, well, are they really winning? Yes. Barbara. Yes.
And you don't just want your reward in the by and by.
Say it again.
You don't. Like, I know I'm going to get my reward in glory. Absolutely.
I want to see it in the land of the living.
Huh? I do.
And there's nothing wrong.
Don't tell me that.
I don't want my treasures.
Huh?
I want my treasures.
They stored up.
I don't need them stored. I want to see.
Can't get to them where they at.
Now I get to running. That thing get good.
But a little earthly wouldn't hurt.
A little earthly wouldn't mind.
Little payment, you know what I'm saying?
I get paid at least every 2 weeks. What more could you do, Father? You own that house on the hill.
Come on.
All that cattle. I can't get none. Ain't no fun unless I get some.
But that's the tough part about being the good girl. Because it's, of course, you're not supposed to compare yourself and stuff like that. But like, I think we pride ourselves on being really authentic and transparent on this platform. And it's like, hey, but you really do. Come on now. Like, we really do. We compare ourselves. We look at other people and we're like, hey, all right now.
Yeah.
I mean,
it would be nice.
Huh? Where you at?
Yeah. But so what resolve is it? You don't want to be a good girl gone bad.
Huh?
But and also.
That's why they do.
I feel like a piece of me is in my villain era. Or at least it's trying to be in my villain era, but I just can't do it.
You don't have no villain in you.
I don't.
You too much of a lover girl.
I am. And it's so annoying.
Yeah. But I do need you to like, okay, not be a villain. Not be a villain. But also just like be a little bit. I don't know how else to put. You know what I'm saying?
Take it easy. Take it slow. Like,
yeah.
I'll be diving head first. Worry about the issues later.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's just the way that life goes, man. And I don't want to say that it's unrealistic to want that. It's not unrealistic to want that. It's just the path to get there is not. A lot of paths in life are not what I expected them to be.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not even just timing. It's even just the experiences along the way. It's like, man, okay, well, I thought being a good girl, I was going to bypass this.
Right.
And you still got to go through it. And it's like, okay, well.
What was the point? If I'm going to still go through it, let me do a do-over.
Girl, I don't know. Like I said, it's just something I don't have an answer because I'm working through it. I'm working through it and reconciling in my mind the decisions that I've made, the life that I've lived, where I am now, was it all worth it?
I know I asked you the other day, given all of what you know now, would you do it again to be able to have this platform?
Mm, 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 mm. I would love to say yeah.
Would love to.
I would love to say
Ain't.
yeah. But it has been a tough journey.
Yeah.
I appreciate that in the tough journey, there was some kind of like, okay, this is gonna help somebody. This is bigger than you. Because
Yeah.
if this hadn't have happened, it would have really been like, all right, Lord, now what do we do all of that for?
Yeah.
But and also it's like, all right.
I could have done without this.
I don't want no more stories for the podcast. Like,
Right.
I don't want no more. Yeah. I don't know. You have a straight answer? Like, yes, absolutely. Or
I could have done without it.
I hear you.
I could have done without it. I mean, it's cool. I can appreciate. I think a lot of the show or a lot of what this has done has kept me here.
What do you mean kept me here?
Life is hard.
Uh-huh.
And, like, it's just been like having a sense of purpose or a reason to,
Be here.
be here.
Mm.
Life be lifing.
Life do be lifing.
And people take things differently than other people. Some things mean more to others than what they do to some. And some of the things that I've been through, they're not terrible. But for me, they were like, oh, yeah.
So how do you deal with it? Because I know we talked about this before because both of our therapists have mentioned like this radical acceptance.
Yeah.
How do you deal with the radical acceptance of like the past or the things that have happened? Does that play a part at all in that radical acceptance?
My logical mind likes to take hold of radical acceptance. It's just getting my mind and my heart to agree is where I find issue in. But I deal with things better when I can understand them. Mm-hmm. So when I don't have all of my T's crossed and all my I's dotted, that's where I find issue, or that's when radical acceptance is out the window, because it's like I can't radically accept something that I don't understand. Because understanding for me as a person is really big. That's why I'm big on closure, or, I want to talk things out, or I'm inquisitive about certain stuff, because like I just process things better when I can understand them.
But do those things even bring you to a better understanding?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. Depending upon the answers that I get.
Yeah.
Because, okay. So for me, if somebody was to go up and like slap someone, right? He'd be like, why would you slap me? Like, what's going on? Like, the slap hurts, like what happened? But if somebody was to come back and say, oh, that person was mentally ill, it's like the slap still hurt, but now I understand why it was done. Because this person doesn't have it all. Mm-hmm. So that's why they acted like that. I may not know what made them choose me out the crowd or that person out the crowd to hit, but they did do that.
It's
but because the why. Now, okay, I know that you're not all the way there. That's why you hurt me. Again, it doesn't take away the hurt, but I have a why. When I can attach a why to something, again, I just deal with it better. But it's the not knowing, because then my brain like just keeps on going and going and going. Well, what could I have done to fix it? Or how could I have changed it? Or how could I have controlled the narrative to get a better outcome? Mm-hmm. That control piece, that thing is something serious for me. It is
something seriing.
That black and white makes you controlling. Mm-hmm. Because you make it black or white.
That's right. It got to be.
Yeah.
Ain't no middle.
If it's an apple, then it can't be no orange.
Come on.
Huh?
And I'm going to put all the reasoning around why it's one or the other, because it got to be. If it's gray, I'm going to make it black or white. It got to be one.
Because I'm going to add one of the colors in enough until it get to what I need.
There you go.
Huh?
Very true. And yeah, that's like been the last year for me. I didn't realize I was a controlling person.
Yeah.
Because I think we always think of control as like this negative thing, or we
Yeah.
think of it like the way far left.
And manipulation.
Yeah,
and, like,
yeah, like diabolical controlling. And
Yeah.
it's like, no, I ain't. Yeah, I got
Yeah.
some control
Yeah.
issues. Man, it's tough.
It was news to me. I ain't gonna hold you. I was like,
Hello?
me controlling. I'm not narcissistic, and I'm not this, and I'm not manipulative, and I'm not. But it's like,
But you trying to force outcomes,
yeah,
even if you're forcing an outcome by moving the chess pieces so that that is the outcome
yeah,
that has to happen, but you didn't touch the outcome.
yeah,
You moved the pieces around so that the
Right.
outcome would, and it's a good outcome.
yeah.
It's
For me,
still controlling.
and that's wild.
It is.
But I do feel like my control is like, yeah, no, I did that right though.
It is. But even in like relationships, because I text you over the trip, like, why are you
Girl.
not doing what I'm telling you to do? I just don't understand it.
When I tell you that had me screaming,
Do what I said to do.
you're like, I do realize this is a grown man.
But also,
Do what I said.
what did I say? Yeah. I'm working on me.
You're
Because
doing
I'm
a
like,
great
this is the
job.
best option. What do you mean? Like,
Yeah.
do what I say. This is the best.
Yeah.
And it's like, no.
This is a thinking, breathing human being that can make a decision for themselves, even though
Yeah.
the decision would not be the decision that I made, and mine is much better, far greater than yours could ever be. But
Yeah. It's even like doing this podcast and like the business side of it.
yeah,
It's like really been teaching me, because I really like, I want you to have a voice and stuff, and I have to like step back because it's not just me,
yeah,
but also it is, but also it's not. But
Yeah.
also like, okay, well, let me just do it. But also, no, let me ask her. You know, it's
yeah. And that's out of 10. I would be like, yeah, whatever you go with. But then there's some stuff where I'm like, no, this is
it's
few and far between.
It's tough. It's really tough. I'm used to just making moves, doing what I want to do. This is how I want it. Do this,
Yeah.
do that. And so now having to like, what do you want to do?
I think this definitely
It's
is
hard.
preparing you for marriage, though.
Woo, child.
Because like having to decrease yourself
Mm-hmm.
so that somebody else may increase.
It's, yeah. It's for the birds a lot of times, because I just be wanting, especially because I'm like let's get this done, let's hurry up. By the time I ask you, wait for your response, dude, it could have been done. But I'm like, no. Ask.
I would like to say
Make
I'm
sure
preparing you.
this is okay, you know?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
It's been really different being in a partnership versus being a sole proprietor.
Would you trade it? Okay, listen, we gotta go. We gotta go. This was cute.
It was cute. Don't be controlling.
Moral of the story.
Be set free on today. Delivered. Amen.
Amen.
All right, you guys. We'll see you next week on another episode of
Your favorite Aunties podcast. Bye.